Hi, I'm Quinn and I'm autistic. Welcome to Autistamatic. It's been a funny old year, 2023. That's the nice way of putting it, I suppose. Whichever way I look at it, my own year has been one of upheaval and change inside and outside my little bubble. So much so that Christmas has caught me unaware this year. Some of that is just a change in routine. I always try to book a fortnight of annual leave over Christmas and New Year, and for the last decade or so I've been jammy enough to swing it. But now I'm my own boss, I'm not breaking up for Christmas in the same way. But that's only a part of it. I know that even without all the personal kerfuffle of these past 12 months, I'd be equally preoccupied with events and developments in the wider world. Autistamatic videos are watched all over the world, and not all of you celebrate Christmas where you are. But you'll know what it is, and that it's a big deal where I am in the UK. Whether you see it as a religious festival or as secular knees-up, it's everywhere at this time of year. When I grew up, I regarded the spirit of Christmas, if not literally, then very seriously. I took Scrooge's lessons learned in A Christmas Carol very much to heart, so I put a lot of effort into making people happy and comfortable. I could never afford the amazing gifts I imagined for people, so I learned other ways to show my goodwill to all through acts of kindness or generosity of spirit. Back then, the community I had in mind extended little further than my immediate family and a few school friends. I'm autistic though, which undoubtedly impacts on how I view the world, how my relationships with other people work, and to a significant degree who I meet and associate with. As my horizons broadened, so did my sense of community and family. I've gained so much strength not only from other autists but from other neurodivergents and all sorts of other disabled people. I've forged bonds with people who've been pushed to the fringes or mistreated for any number of morally unjustifiable reasons, and have also enjoyed the friendship and backing of people who don't fit into any such category but just don't like to stand by and watch others suffer. Although I'll never meet most of you watching, I know as well as you do the isolation of screaming in a language no one seems able to hear, let alone willing to understand. When people share such knowledge and experience, it generates a sense of kinship, of shared struggle and unity of purpose. Trouble is, the world we live in seems dead set on driving wedges between us both as individuals and communities by making us compete for accessibility. It's not overt competition. Nobody's trying to organise Autistic versus Tourette's cage matches yet, as far as I know. No, it's far more mundane, to the extent that it goes unnoticed most of the time. Some will put it down to late-stage capitalism, ableism or apathy. But there's no doubt that most of us who are able to communicate our accessibility needs often find ourselves plunged into an unwanted battle for every ounce of empathy or goodwill on offer. Architects and town planners do it all the time. The town planner puts in dropped curbs for wheelchair users, which is great, until blind people start tripping over or losing their bearings because they've lost an important navigational aid. No problem, say the engineers and builders. We'll put in tactile paving for the blind to fix it, which ends up making the ground uneven and bumpy for wheelchair users. When we talk about accommodations for autistic people, we're talking about accessibility as much as when we discuss wheelchair ramps, tactile paving and automatic doors. Autistic accessibility, isolated from other co-occurring differences, divergences, disabilities and personal quirks, primarily relates to the autistic triad of distinction: our senses, our emotional processing, and our veracity or need for truth and honesty. A more accessible world for me would be one in which I could turn down or turn off the sensory inputs I can't normally control. Life would be easier if people understood that my frown isn't always a signal that I'm annoyed, or that my feet being rooted to the spot instead of jumping for joy doesn't make me either a traitor or a miserable git. More than anything, my access to the world would be a darn sight easier, more fulfilling, and far less prone to disaster if people would just try to be a little more honest, both with each other and especially themselves. I'd like to live in a world where my accessibility needs are well known enough and considered enough so that mistakes like those well-intentioned but ultimately ill-conceived drop curbs can happen in the first place. But we've a lot of ignorance to replace with understanding before we get there. The fight for accessibility for those of us with physical needs or more easily defined sensory needs is far from over. But at least we've got to the point where the need for wheelchair ramps is considered obvious, even if it's often ignored. The dropped curb story is almost heartwarming in its irony. A lack of forethought caused an obvious conflict of needs which at one time nobody might have been bothered to solve. It's a sign of progress, even if it's taking one step back for the two we've taken forward. We can chuckle over those silly town planners to our heart's content, but such conflicts happen all the time. And the only reason we don't hear about them more often is because most aren't as easy to relate to or as clear-cut as our example. I've done it myself. I stopped using background music and switched to plain or static backdrops because of feedback from autistic viewers. Changes which went down well with viewers generally, but other requests aren't as easy to fulfill or even pinpoint sometimes. I've been praised for being sensitive to typical autistic needs by not changing viewpoint very often and making the transitions between shots nice and smooth on the same video, as I was castigated for jangling everyone's autistic senses with way too many sudden jump cuts. Not only is it a question of what family or families of differences we're akin to, it's our own personal perspective, and balancing all those factors is a tall order for any designer, builder or creator. What may be great for the autist, for instance, might be wrong for the ADHDer, which is complicated enough. But what about people who are both? What about variation in upbringing, culture, nationality, colour, gender identity and so on? Whether we're the builder or the user, though, it's important to learn and adapt when we get it wrong or misjudge our impact, and work towards finding that balance of maximum benefit to the minimum inconvenience. That old quote about the impossibility of pleasing all the people all of the time applies to accessibility as much as it does entertainment. When we introduce a measure to increase accessibility for one group, it can sometimes decrease accessibility or efficiency for others. The balance we're aiming for is not achieved by giving everyone the same, but by giving people what they need to achieve an equivalent result, and finding a balance which pleases everyone is a formidable task. I don't get it right all the time, and I'll continue to make my fair share of mistakes, however much I learn as I go along. But I do try to put everything I learn into practice, and at this time of goodwill, it's my hope that all of us can do something in a similar spirit. Christmas is a very difficult time for many autistic people, and I'm not just talking about those of us who aren't spending it alone by choice. Many keep to themselves because mixing with others at this time of year is overwhelming or painful, and even those spending Christmas deep in the bosom of true family and real-world friends can feel just as marginalised and isolated, even terrorised. So, first, I'd like to ask all those watching who aren't autistic for a little extra consideration of how difficult so many aspects of Christmas celebrations can be for many autists. Maybe think about the volume when playing party games, or turn down the telly if you notice us wincing or looking for escape routes. Or try listening patiently without looking at your watches when we get a little over-enthusiastic or something. And perhaps try to not keep asking us if something's wrong because we're not smiling like a Cheshire Cat 24/7 over the holidays. Every one of us is unique, so try to take our lead. The ways autistic people express our discomfort aren't always obvious to neurotypical people, so a little extra sensitivity and novel thought on your part. Even just allowing us the freedom and space to go somewhere quiet in between high points of the day might go a long way towards not only making for a better shared Christmas, but improved understanding after. But I'd also like to ask my autistic kin to spare an extra thought about the accessibility of others too. Sometimes our needs don't mesh well with things other people require to enjoy their Christmas to the full. If Grandad's hearing is failing and he's forgotten his glasses for the subtitles, should Mum turn the telly up so that her dad can hear the King's speech, or keep it down so my autistic auditory sensitivities remain unassaulted? Many of us have fought hard for the few accommodations we've managed to achieve, myself included, and none of us should be expected to give them up lightly. But sometimes it's up to us to show a little kindness when someone else's needs might be greater, their interest deeper, or simply they deserve a little bit of autistic goodwill, and we're there to offer it. Thank you for watching, and for everyone celebrating Christmas, I hope it's a merry one, and I'll see you all in the new year. If you've already liked and subscribed and would like to support the channel more, then please follow the Patreon links in the description to pledge what you feel is fair and affordable to help keep the lights on here and the content keep flowing. Not only is it a different family or families, it's important to learn and adapt when we get it wrong or misjudge our impact. Oh, my nose is itching. Mr. Flibble says, "Game over, boys."